Hello, and welcome back to the Word of the Week. My name is Devin, still, if you can believe that. This week's video is dedicated to my friend Isa from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Hi, Isa. And the word that we're going to be exploring this week is the word amenable. So this word amenable actually has three fairly distinct usages, and not all of these usages are equally common. Some are much more common than others. So my plan for this video is to give you the first definition along with some examples, then the second definition along with some examples, and then the third definition along with, you guessed it, some more examples to help kind of give the full shape of this word, but to really stress, if there's one definition you really want to know for this word, it's the very first one because it's the one you're going to see most frequently. Okay, so the first definition of the word amenable, and the one that I have encountered most in my life as an English speaker, is amenable essentially used as a synonym for words like agreeable or open to persuasion, open to influence, open to hearing other ideas. So a possible example of this is if you were renting a house and you noticed that the house needed an extra coat of paint on the outside, or the porch was falling apart or whatever, but let's just go with the paint example. And you thought, maybe if I reach out to the landlord and offer to paint the outside of the house, which I know how to do, maybe she would be willing to knock off a couple $100 of rent. And so you call the landlord and say, hey, I have this great idea. I'd love to paint the outside of the house. Would you be willing to knock off $200 of rent if I were to do that? And the landlord thinks about it for a second and she says, yeah, I would be open to that. You could say that the landlord is amenable, receptive, agreeable, open to your idea. That's kind of that first definition of amenable. On the other hand, if she says, well, no, I like the way the house is just kind of falling apart on the outside, please don't paint it, you could say she's not amenable to the idea. So that's the first definition, and I think the one you will encounter the most is this idea of openness, receptiveness, agreeableness, etc. Alrighty, so now on to the second definition, which my friend Dr. Estes actually says is the definition he thinks is more common. I disagree with him, but this second definition is often used in talking about treatments, medical treatments, or treatments for injuries or illness or whatever, and it really hits on this receptive or responsive part of amenable. So if you have an injury, and say a knee injury, and you go to the doctor and they say, well, why don't you try this very specific regimen where you ice your knee a couple times a week and then use use like a heating pad on it, and then also do these specific stretches a few times a day, and you do it all week, and you come back to the doctor and you say, that worked great. You could also say that my knee injury was very amenable to the treatment that you prescribed for me. So again, really hitting on this responsive thing, this thing where something actually responds to a particular course or action of treatment. On the other hand, if you did all these exercises with the knee and after a week it actually feels worse or it hasn't changed at all, then you could just say, no, not amenable at all, doc. So that's the second definition. Obviously, my friend Dr. Estes thinks that that's more common. I don't quite agree. I haven't heard it as often as he supposedly has, but he's a doctor, so what can I say? And we are now on to the third definition. Alrighty, we are now on to definition 3 of the word amenable. And I've actually never heard this usage of the word in day-to-day speech, but it is the definition that's closest to how the word was originally used when it entered the English language in about the late 1500s. And this definition is liable or answerable to, and specifically liable or answerable to the law. So a common example that's used when talking about this definition is something like all citizens, no matter their position or office or standing, are amenable to the law, meaning they are liable to it or have to answer to it. So this, you can kind of see if you trace back through each of the different definitions that we've given so far. This is the original usage, meaning liable to, answerable to. The previous usage on medical treatment is responsive to. So you can kind of see how that how that shift is made, and then it opens up even a little bit more to be not just answerable to, not just responsive to, but actually open or agreeable or in concord with. So that's kind of the journey. And like I said, you are unlikely to encounter this particular use of the word in day-to-day speech. That first usage, the agreeable, open to, or if we are to believe Dr. Estes, that second usage of treatment and responsiveness to treatment, those are much more common. And if you're going to learn any definitions of the word, I would highly recommend really getting those ones into your brain. And that brings us to the end of the word of the week. It's very sad to come to another ending, but you know that either next week or the week after, or whenever I get around to producing the next video, you'll have a new word of the week, and it will be just so exciting. If you want to subscribe to this channel, you know how to do it. Just click the red button. And if you are interested in getting actually a full email with these examples and just an update, I send out a weekly, or sometimes it comes out every other week, newsletter with a new word of the week. It contains this video plus a few examples, and often I go into a little bit of etymology on the word as well. So other than that, thank you so much for watching this video. I really enjoy making these videos. I really enjoy language, and I love sharing what I know and really learning with you. So hope to see you next time, and I really appreciate it.